Yo, salute to all. Welcome to the new platform, Real Talk. Right now, we're really going to concentrate on my country, Venezuela, because there seems to be a very heavy misunderstanding about my country, Venezuela. Okay? Now, like I said, I'm from Venezuela. Yo soy del Lídice La Pastora, Los Altos del Lídice. Okay. I've lived in El Valle, I lived in Palo Verde, La Isla Margarita, I've lived in La Vega, I lived in El Cafetal, I lived in the rich areas, I lived in the poor areas, I lived everywhere all over the city and in some parts of the country, all right, in all my years. I was there in the 70s and 80s when there was a true crisis in my country. Now, me being from the cerros and being a young man at that age, I got to see people really eating out of garbage cans. Okay, me as a youngster, I remember we used to go down to the creek. Okay, none of these people from the opposition are going to tell you stories like this because none of them come from where I come from. Okay, but like I said, I remember going down to the creek with my friends and my slingshots to go kill rats the size of cats. Okay, this is as a 5, 6, 7 year old, 8 year old. Okay, I remember in my bed waking up with rats hopping over my bed. This is a reality that people do not hear about in my country. About my country. Now, I remember not my great grandfather, my grandfather telling me that his grandfather once told him that one day would come when the whole cerro, all the cerros in Venezuela would have to come down and defend their right to be treated like human beings. Are you listening to me? Like human beings. We're talking possibly 4 or 5 generations of my family living in the cerros. I got very lucky and I was able to get out. Very lucky. That's why you don't see black people, Venezuelan brown people showing you videos of what's going on in my country. There's brown people in my country that don't even know what Twitter is. Do you guys understand where I'm trying to go with this? Okay, obviously there's people that do, but there's lots of people that don't. We are not one of these super consuming nations where everybody's got to have everything. As you can see, there's a mini crisis going on in my country. Now let me get to the real of this. For all this time, 500 generations up in the cerros, we've never had nobody to represent us, no representation. We were always treated like slaves. We can build the buildings for the middle class, but we can't live in them. We have to go back to the cerros. So, CHAVEZ is elected and everything changes. And now the cerro has a voice. Now, mind you that most of the middle class in my country happens to be Euro-Venezuelans or Euro-Venezuelans, okay? Not real Venezuelans. Now, let me remind you guys of something why I'm saying this, okay? Venezuela happens to be the largest receiver of, okay, immigrants. So for example, we have 1 million Arabs in my country. We have over 300,000 Spaniards, over 300,000 Portuguese, over 300,000 Italians. Now, are you ready for this one? 5 million Colombians. Now, I know in the news they're talking a lot about all these Venezuelans leaving the country. A large number of these people are Colombian, not Venezuelan. Those are facts. And that is something that we are going to touch upon later once we start talking about border crossing, because this is something that you guys need to understand, because you've been fed a pile of shit with these videos that they keep showing you about the borders of Cucuta and Colombia. We're also going to be talking about Colombia, because you guys do not seem to know anything about this country that happens to be next to my country, and it's 100 times poorer than my country. And there is an actual crisis in Colombia right now as we speak. Tons of children are dying of hunger right now in Colombia, not in my country. So, what is this really about? Want to know what this is really about? That's what it's about. It's about brown and pale skin. I'm not going to use the words black and white because that's a brainwash mentality. Okay, there is no one that's black. Okay, so that's the main issue, people. Brown people, pale people. Pale people that call themselves Venezuelan. Okay, now I'm giving it to you really quick. Euro-Venezuelans that came as immigrants, made millions, okay, because we had Euro-Venezuelan presidents, and we also had Criollo Venezuelan presidents that were sold out to American interest. Okay, and you know what they used to tell my people when we used to come down and ask for the government to be civil with us? They used to give us a sack of cement and send us back up to the cerros and say, go build your house up there, where there's no electricity once you get past a certain point of the mountains. There's no running water, which means every day you got to walk down and get your water. Understand where I'm going with this? Ever since CHAVEZ came, they decided to start taking care of the poor people, the people that nobody gave a damn about, the people that look like me. And of course, the US can't have that. And neither can Spain. Okay, anything to keep Venezuela down. And we'll get into that later. But now that my people have a voice, you know, the alphabet soups of the United States are making sure that people like me are not seen. Because every time, like I said, you see a YouTube video or anything else, the only thing you see is Euro-Venecuas. Okay? We don't even call them Venezuelans. They're called Euro-Venecuas. Alright? They don't even have the title. They call themselves Venezuelan because they have to. So all these years, they never gave a damn about us. But they always used our people to get their political agendas forwarded. Now, things are changing. Peoples from the mountains, with the help of CHAVEZ, have stopped being illiterate. Everybody in my country can read, write, multiply, divide, add and subtract. Everybody knows the Constitution. You can go to the remotest jungle in my country and the native will know the Constitution. You won't be able to rip them off. You won't be able to give them a few boxes of cigars, a few cases of booze, and steal tons of land. Because now they know their worth. You know what the real is about this? That Euro Venezuelans are pissed off because they can't keep the status quo anymore. That's what this is about. They want us back up in the cerros, where they knew we would come down and cry for something, get nothing, and have to head back up. This is the part that you guys are not listening to. This is something that was happening not too long ago, 20 years ago, until CHAVEZ came in. So this is a race issue. This is how they're playing this. This is a race issue by the right in Venezuela, using America, okay, as a power force to get rid of the voice of the real people of Venezuela, and again place their foot on our throats while the Euro Venezuelans go back to business as usual. Before I close off on this video, have you ever noticed that within the last 10 years, most of the Venezuelans you see that are in Canada or in the States or anywhere else where they may have gone to, they don't look like me? Mind you, if you want to come to Canada, you must fly to Mexico first, which means you got to waste money. Then you got to fly back to Venezuela and wait for your papers. Then fly back to Mexico, then get out and fly here. If there's such a crisis, how are these so-called Venezuelans getting out of the country? Have you guys asked yourselves this question? Because you really don't see people that look like me reaching the shores of the United States or the borders of Canada. It's basically all Euro Venezuelans that have a chance to leave the country. That should basically tell you the story of what's going on in my country. The people that have the money to get out so they can then bash their so-called country and their so-called president, when in reality, they don't give a damn. All they want is things to go back to the way they were when people like me were back up in the cerros, okay, and they got to live the good life. That's not happening anymore. CHAVEZ forever. You understand that? CHAVEZ forever. From 2013 till right now, 2,300,000 homes for my people of the cerros, the mountains. By 2025, 5 million free homes. Can you name the last country that did something like that for its poor people? We'll see you next time on Real Talk. Salute.